The Canada Border Services Agency is beefing up staff at crossings prepared for an influx of travelers when the rules change at 12:01 Monday morning.
There could be, some impacts to the time it takes across the border, and we'd invite people to be patient.
If you're a Canadian or otherwise exempt from restrictions and you're fully vaccinated by a Health Canada approved jab, you'll be able to skip the hotel quarantine and the full 14-day quarantine, as well as the day 8 test. You still need to provide proof of a negative PCR test and take another when you arrive. You have to enter the test result and proof of vaccination into a new version of the ArriveCan app, downloadable at 12:01 as well. Any unvaccinated children traveling with you still need to quarantine at home for 14 days, but can skip the hotel.
If you haven't been able to travel up until now and you weren't able to travel and enter Canada on July 4th, that doesn't change. On July 5th, those restrictions remain and you still can't come into Canada.
Mentally, it was affecting us mostly. The pandemic is being there on one layer and the other layer, not being able to reunite.
Bashir Amin is a Syrian refugee living in Montreal, a temporary resident ineligible for a visit by his partner of 5 years, Chloe Bordewick in Boston.
I've been fully vaccinated for months. I'm ready to go pick up any time now. And every month we've changed our plans again and again and again. It's disrupted our work. It's disrupted our mental health. It's disrupted, as I said, our ability to plan for a future together. And that's been really devastating.
Frustrated, too, that the original metric of 75% for a first dose and 20% for a second didn't move the needle.
If the goalposts continually move, faith in public health becomes eroded, and public health requires the trust of Canadians to be effective.
The prospect of having a bunch of people coming up to Pearson Airport, let's say in Toronto, and not having to quarantine, and then have Canadian citizens who are only singly vaccinated, because we're behind Americans on that, having to quarantine. And that just strikes me as politics and not science.
We will be looking at how this works before we open up to next steps.
As for Canadians looking to travel to the U.S. for a quick trip like cross-border shopping, that's still a no-go. The American land entry rules barring non-essential travel haven't changed either. Now all eyes are on July 21st, the next shot at a broader border reopening for both sides. Robin?
Abigail Bimman in Ottawa. Thanks, Abigail. Many parts of Canada are reaching vaccination milestones, turning the corner towards a somewhat normal summer. But in other countries, the Delta variant is stoking fresh fears of a COVID-19 flare-up. Take Europe. 63% of the population there still hasn't had the first dose. And as Ross Lord reports, it's a race between the vaccine and the variant.
With the third wave of COVID-19 petering out in Canada, the narrative is shifting to positive milestones, like Nova Scotia poised to celebrate 1 million vaccine doses administered. But as provinces and the federal government make new rules for international travelers, there are new reminders of why some parts of the world are a long way from returning to normal. The World Health Organization's regional director for Europe says COVID-19 cases in the region are no longer dropping. He warns there will be yet another wave unless people stay disciplined and get vaccinated. About 63% of people in Europe have not had their first dose of vaccine.
Whilst we should all recognize the progress made across most countries in the region, we must also acknowledge that we are by no means out of danger.
Kluge warns an increase in socializing, travel, and large sports events could cause outbreaks of the fast-spreading Delta variant. Already, Russia is reporting its highest COVID numbers since January, more than 25,000 new cases on Sunday, driven by the Delta variant. There were 5 consecutive days of record-high deaths, including almost 700 on Saturday. Some countries are feeling more confident. In the United Kingdom, the Wimbledon tennis tournament will allow maximum capacity crowds from the quarterfinals onward. The UK government is planning to ease pandemic restrictions on July 19th based on the success of its vaccination campaign.
I don't particularly want to wear a mask. I don't think a lot of people enjoy doing it. We will be moving into a phase, though, where these will be matters of personal choice.
By contrast, people in Brazil took to the streets in the thousands, demanding the resignation of President Jair Bolsonaro. They accused Bolsonaro of mismanaging the pandemic, allowing COVID-19 to run rampant and kill more than 500,000 people. Scenes that seem to validate Canada's regulated approach to COVID-19 and step-by-step reopening. Ross Lord, Global News.